All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, this is not my normal setup, obviously. Well, I guess it's not obvious if this is your first time to the channel, but it's not, okay? This is not my normal setup. I am on the road, but I love my viewers so much that I will set my camera on a refrigerator and film just like this. And the content's gonna be fire anyway. So enjoy it, don't complain, and then subscribe to the channel if you like it. What's up? I'll just throw it out like that. I'll call you out. What? Anyway, all right, so today I'm gonna talk about two things. Well, I already just did a video about Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards and why no one can possibly confidently predict that fight, all right? That's another video that's coming up, or that I'll upload today. Also, okay, I'm gonna talk about right now, Khabib and Conor. Khabib just retired. I'll talk about that in a little while, about why I believe that's going to end up being temporary, assuming that things play out. But more so, I wanna talk about Conor McGregor. Problems, okay? Conor's problem, and this is separate from the stuff that I talked about billion. Now I'm just talking about fighting, period, fighting. What does the UFC do with him? What does he do with himself? And what are the problems that exist as it relates to like matchmaking? Because there are a lot, all right? So here's the deal. Before I even talk about UFC and UFC matchmaking, the first thing Conor needs to do is stop thinking about boxing, okay? Stop it. You're not fighting Manny Pacquiao. That would be a terrible idea, okay? You did a sideshow, I'm like, this is tough love moment, okay? I love Conor McGregor. I love Khabib. They're my two favorite fighters. Anybody wants to go, oh, he's a Conor dick rider. Oh, really? A Conor dick rider that loves Khabib? Fuck you. Anyway, but this is tough love time, okay? Stop it, okay? You did fine against Floyd. Floyd's not a power puncher. Floyd was standing in your face on purpose. He did not fight strategically the way that he would have fought normally, okay? So you did pretty well against Floyd versus how people expected it. Floyd was putting on a show. That doesn't mean that you can actually box with people like Manny Pacquiao, Ryan Garcia, etc. Like, they'll beat the shit out of you, okay? Don't do it. What it's doing is distracting you from the thing you are exceptional at, which is mixed martial arts, okay? Focus exclusively on mixed martial arts, period. No more Manny Pacquiao, no more plans with Ryan Garcia. Focus only on the opponent that's in front of you, and that is step one towards retaining or gaining your title again, right? That's it, right? Okay, no more fucking boxing. I mean, box whoever, but not, like, you're a UFC fighter. You're not doing any more professional boxing because you're just gonna lose, okay? That's what's gonna happen. If you fight a real boxer, you're just gonna lose, okay? Anyway, so as it relates to UFC though, okay, he's got a 6-month medical suspension. Problem. Right? Problem. Which means we're only going to see him one more time in 2021, probably around August or September, and that'll be that. So Conor will fight twice this year. Hopefully he can win the next fight, but here's the problem, okay? They're talking about doing Dustin, the trilogy fight, you know, and I can understand why Dustin would do as it relates to money, but does Dustin really want to wait 7 or 8 months to fight again? Probably not. And Dustin wants the title, okay? You can't. I've heard them saying they're going to do the trilogy fight and they're going to make that for the belt. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I won't care. I'll be happy as a fan, right? Because to me, I don't really care who has the belt. Like, you know, for me, the belt is just a reason to like make the fight more exciting. You know, it's a reason. It's a storyline that it just bolsters a storyline. Conor for Dustin for the belt. I love it. The problem is that the only way that could have worked is if they would have had the belt on the line for this fight, because then Dustin, then you could just do a rematch. Then you're like, okay, we're going to do a rematch of this fight because now they're 1-1. Dustin's the champion, etc. Right now, you have no champion. So you have to actually justify out of Oliveira, you know, Poirier, Chandler, Gaethje, giving Conor the first title shot, and he's 1-2 at lightweight, okay? He's lost his last 2. Right? He won the championship in 2015, 2016, and then he's 0-2 since then. It's very hard to justify giving him the first shot at the title. I mean, it just is what it is. You guys know I love Conor, but like that's a real tough sell. I mean, again, if we're just doing this as far as you like, look, Conor and Dustin are the 2 best fighters at lightweight, and that's why the belt should have been on the line, and now we're going to give him a rematch. Okay, I can get behind that. Okay, but I don't think Justin Gaethje's behind that. As a matter of fact, he said he'll just never fight in the UFC again if they do that. He took it back. But of course, the fighters would understandably be super pissed off. And for once, I'm going to actually say, you know, I mean, normally I'm like, look, it's a business. Make yourself a superstar. They won't be able to do this. At a certain point, the fights have to matter. I mean, your record has to matter. Your most recent fights have to matter. You can't just be a star. I mean, like, would it make sense to give Mike Perry a title shot because he has a bunch of followers on Twitter? Obviously not. Now, I'm not comparing Conor to Mike Perry, obviously. But you understand the point I'm making, right? Like, Conor lost to Dustin. Conor lost to Khabib. Those are his last 2 fights at 155. Beating Cowboy at 170 is irrelevant. Okay. Now, I do believe that Conor is certainly one of the top 3 best lightweights. I do believe that. I think that he'll adjust from the calf kicks. I think he'll come out better. If you take away the calf kicks, Conor's winning that fight. I mean, that's just, I'm not, that's just true. He definitely won the first round. Dustin landed shots, sure. Conor, he had his leg go dead, and he didn't fight through it. He got beat up. Like, he lost the fight, obviously, but Dustin Poirier is legit, and Conor beat him up in the first round. Conor, in my opinion, still one of the top 3 best lightweights in the world, but it doesn't matter. As far as the belt goes, that's a tough sell. So do you want to do Dustin versus someone else for the belt in between now and then? Right? Because, really, like, here's what you have. You have Gaethje, Poirier, Oliveira, and Chandler, okay? So Conor's out for 7 or 8 months. So the challenge is this. Whoever has the belt is going to want to fight Conor also. That's the other thing, okay? Now, you just did, it's not like you don't have any precedent for this, right? Israel Adesanya just fought Yoel Romero, right? Yoel Romero was coming off losses, and he did that because everybody, because that's the fight he wanted. So the champion does have some control over who they fight. And you'd be an idiot not to fight Conor when you have the belt, because you have a piece of the back end and you're going to make tremendously more money when they sell a bunch more pay-per-views. But again, there is no belt right now. Okay. No one has the belt. That's the problem. You don't get the air cover of the champion says, I want Conor. I've got a problem with Conor. I want Conor. And everybody knows they just want the money, but who cares? That's a reason that they're choosing that. If it's just the UFC doing it, then it's like, dude, what? Someone needs to win the belt. Okay, that's the point I'm making. So what they should do is they should have Dustin Poirier fight Gaethje or I don't see why Gaethje's not in the conversation to fight for the belt. It seems, like Gaethje beat everybody. Well, he won 4 in a row, and then he lost to Khabib, like everyone else. He beat, right? Right? So nonetheless, you got, the problem is this. So you have, let's say you have Oliveira. Let's say you have Oliveira and Dustin fight for the belt. Okay, and let's say Dustin wins, because I do think Dustin will win that fight. Then you've got Gaethje and Chandler. Whoever wins that fight is going to be in line for a title shot, right? Like, how are you going to circumvent either? How are you going to circumvent either of those guys in favor of Conor? Unless Dustin Poirier says, I want Conor. So you get, anyway, you see what I'm saying, right? They've got a problem there. Now, people are talking about, just put Conor against Diaz. Hell no. Don't do that. That fight is always there. That's the point. So Conor goes out, he beats Nate Diaz, and what will be a 5-round war. Okay. So what? How does that put him in line for a title shot? Right? Like, the guys that are in line are Chandler, Gaethje, Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Okay. Those are the guys that are in line ahead of Conor. So how does beating Nate Diaz move Conor closer to the, top of the list? I just don't see it. I don't see it. So Gaethje hates Conor. That's the other thing. I think I would love to see Conor fight Gaethje. And here's the other thing. Everybody's like, oh, wow, like Dustin just figured out the recipe to beat Conor, about his leg kicks. Dude, I've got a way different way of looking at that, because everybody's like, yeah, no one's ever really gone after Conor's legs. Exactly. Okay, exactly. And Conor, right after the fight, is immediately acknowledging that, and he's already thinking about how to respond to that, right? And how to adjust. So for them to act like, oh, he just unlocked how you beat Conor, so now anyone who has good leg kicks is just going to do the same. You think Conor's not going to he's not going to adjust? Okay, now I'm not saying that because Gaethje is a very dangerous fight for Conor, especially after watching the Dustin Poirier fight. Gaethje is super dangerous, because here's the main thing. Conor's power does not translate to 155. It just doesn't, okay? It doesn't translate the way that 145, the level of the power Conor had at 145, Dustin, whatever, he eats a leg kick, he hits Justin Gaethje gets hit, he's going to get knocked out, right? 155, that has not been the case. Conor hit Dustin Poirier with tremendous shots, right? He didn't hit Khabib with any, but he had to hit Eddie Alvarez with a bunch of shots before he went out. Justin Gaethje is going to be able to just obliterate his leg. Because even if you could check him, dude, I don't care. Justin Gaethje kicks the fuck out of people's legs. Now and that is one movement I know real well. I don't care, dude. You can go ahead and you better check my kick perfect and make it hurt me as much as it hurt you. Because if it's even moderately on your leg, oof, you don't want it, dude. And Gaethje kicks is harder than I do. So anyway, Gaethje's a dangerous fight, but he does hate Conor. And so there's not going to be any love lost there. I love that fight. Let's get Conor, the one that fucking hates his opponent, that wants to take it from his... Because Gaethje's never going to play nice with Conor. I love that fight. I want that fight. But again, very dangerous for Conor. So, I don't know. I mean, listen, like, Conor being out for 6 months is fucked because all these guys are ready to fight. Gaethje's ready to fight. Oliveira's ready to fight. Chandler's ready to fight. Poirier will be ready to fight soon. So, I don't know. I don't really know what you do, but there's no real good answers. Anyway, let me talk about Khabib, though. So Khabib is officially retired. Okay, how do you think that's going to go? Let's say Michael Chandler fights Justin Gaethje as an example, and he knocks him out. Okay, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but let's say he knocks out Justin Gaethje. Oliveira and Dustin Poirier fight. Poirier wins. Then Michael Chandler comes in and he knocks out Dustin Poirier. Okay, so now he's in the UFC for 3 fights. He's knocked out all 3 opponents, all 3 top contenders. You're telling me Khabib's not going to come back and fight Chandler? I mean, is that what you're telling me? And how about Charles Oliveira? Let's say Charles Oliveira fights Dustin Poirier, takes him down, submits him in the 2nd round. Okay, now Oliveira, a fighter that Khabib has not beat, has proven himself to be the best lightweight in the world. You tell me Khabib's going to let that slide? The reason Khabib's not fighting is because he is so clearly the best lightweight in the world. There's no challenger there, right? There are no challengers. So he's just like, what's the point? That's not what it's about. It's not about money for Khabib. It's about legacy. And if he knows he's the best, he has nothing to prove. There's no point. And he's going to slide into that role that his father was in. He's going to coach these other guys. So I think, he's only 32. He's in the dead prime of his career. He's going to be staying sharp. He's going to continue to train. He's not going to, he'll be sharp enough to where he can do an 8-10 week camp and he'll be ready to go. So I do believe he'll come back, but it's going to require someone at 155 to emerge as dominant for him to come back. So anyway, that's what I got. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, tell your friends. Oh, also, I'm going to do another video on JOE today, which is going to be really solid. No politics, no nothing, right? Just like hedge fund one yesterday. This one I'm going to talk about when I believe it should be okay for us to euthanize citizens. Okay, now I know that's going to sound crazy, but certain personality traits, certain biological defects that people can have where we should just put them the fuck down. And I'm not talking about short legs and stuff. I'm talking about psychological defects that are irreversible, okay? That are probably genetic and things that we should just get out of the gene pool, right? So if that interests you at all, pay attention because that's the next thing I'm going to film and then I'm going to upload that as well. So if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell and tell your motherfucking friends.